Okay, had some questions. Jake Fadden, airport member, either McFadden or McFadden, there we go. I always get that confused. About the projected work for the fairgrounds. And they're working with a consultant to get preliminary plans, soil testing, all that kind of stuff done. But they're in the process, they need to know where we stand as a board as far as financial support. So he had asked about the ARPA money, and I told him we had $500,000 that was set aside for this fall. And he did indicate that they will probably submit for payment the bill for that consultant to prepare all the documents and get everything ready for planning. Like what we do with Garmin Miller and whatever the other company is. That's $17,500. So that they will be submitting, that we can take out of that 500,000 ARPA. They were wanting to know what we were offering or hoping to contribute over and beyond the 500,000. They need to know a number so that they can make their plans as far as how much project they're gonna take on right away and how much you're gonna put off later on. So,
that's beyond this year?
yeah. It wouldn't necessarily, it probably wouldn't be spent this year, but they wanted to know what we, as a board, are willing to consider to pay in future years as the project goes forward. Are we willing to go $1 million towards buildings and
Well,
what
you
we
know,
have to bear?
I'm a little bit concerned about the ARPA money to the extent of being able to utilize it.
And,
without having
yeah, and,
known values and everything.
yeah, he did say that there were other things that needed to be for the buildings, but could be purchased now and used for other things and then go into the building later on. Bleachers, stalls, interior equipment, that if we've gotta make a commitment by the end of this year to purchase those, at least they would know what the expenditure was gonna be, and that it would be done, and we could meet our requirements for ARPA, and still be able to help them in the long run, because the less money they have to spend on interior, the more money they have to spend on the structure itself. So I think probably that they're going to be able to come up with the $500,000 worth of eligible expenditures for ARPA by the end of the year. They might not actually make the expenditures, but they will have the dollar amount and what it's going to be spent for, so that we can encumber it.
So that we would have a dollar amount per state, that would be somewhat, that would be factual.
Yeah.
Homework.
Yes,
That we can go back to the fund.
yeah, yeah. So that would meet our encumbrance requirement for ARPA.
As long as we meet those requirements. I don't know for the future. I guess a lot of that,
I mean,
it's hard to say for the future.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit, I'd like to see more as we go into the budgeting process for next year, how that works to a certain extent.
that's true. You know, the timing is, if they both work on the same calendar scale, that would be much easier. But they need to know rough numbers now for their budget before we know what our rough numbers, or our firm numbers are for our budget.
So let me just double check and just verify, so the 500,000 we give them ARPA, or we'll be giving them, and I'll have the receipts or
Good.
encumbered by the end of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is going to include some of the underground infrastructure that they're
Right,
putting in this
yeah,
fall.
that's
So
all
that money will be coming out of there.
So no work will be done this year, just other than.
The underground stuff
About
will be.
17,000.
Yeah, I think they're planning on doing the underground work yet this fall.
Okay, good.
And then the remainder will be basically quotes.
Yeah. And once again, I go back that Fairgrounds is county property. The buildings belong to the county.
Right.
They don't belong to the fair board, so we're not giving the money to the fair board, we're spending the money on county infrastructure. If we had, if the West Annex needed major repairs, we would spend $1 million on that to make it.
You
Right.
know, they probably didn't, I thought of this, that we have a farmhouse out there. And when they were looking for space to put this building, the new building, did they ever consider that property, the house gone, build there, that's high?
I don't think so, because that's not on the fairground. I mean, it's on county land, but they looked at what was contained within the fence area of the fairgrounds.
I just thought of that the other night, because when they.
And I think they're pretty well set on their location.
Okay.
They found the high ground, they
You
found
should be by now.
where drainage is best, where it helps meet the flow of the fairgrounds.
Okay.
Well,
And I mean, we're not appropriating the money, we're not spending the money, but they need to know if we're willing to throw support behind their project. And I think $1 million is a lot of money, but it may be spread over a couple of years as the building process goes on. And to invest, I mean, we've invested it in this building. The fairgrounds gets used by more people than the courthouse does for a short period of time, but the courthouse will go longer. It's still county property. Well, I don't have a problem with saying that we'll back them with $1 million over the next coming years.
Let me think about it. How much they gotta know?
Well, fairly soon, because they're trying to get things going.
Right.
And get the, because they gotta start work on the grounds, and they gotta know, in order for this consultant to give them the full picture.
So are we pretty much at an agreement concerning what?
Yeah, I think so.
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's half of the ball game right there, but again, making sure that we have the proper documentation,
Sure.
so that passes the test.
Well, fair to say, we don't wanna give any back. So,
Yeah.
No,
They have to spend it all.
That's the truth,
We
that's.
got to have
But I
other
think-
entities as bids come in favorably, less than we set aside. We're gonna have a little bit of money left, and we need to sit down and revisit it.
And that's it, we have to keep in mind that there's going to be probably opportunities that will come forward, because those particular bids that were in place, we actually ended up spending less, and so there'll be potentially opportunities for additional funds.
If you wanna ponder while Fred and Michelle do their interviews, and then we can come back together
Yeah.
after that and discuss it more.
Sure.
Okay. They're all yours again, Alec.
Alrighty.
How would you see a return of investment on your $1 million in those buildings down at the fairgrounds?
I'll answer that with another question. How do we see a return of investment on this building? You have buildings, you have to maintain them. They wear out, you have to replace them. That's a county facility. It's owned by the county, it's owned by the taxpayers.
What about the MOU you owe to the health department? I mean, we have financial strain all over the county, and we're gonna give 500,000 of the ARPA and then give them another $1 million out of the general fund? When we have so many things that are strained in our county, not just the things that you work here and you go to the fairgrounds and so you put money into those things. What about the other things? I just think it's really neglectful. Put a levy on the ballot to fund those buildings. And at least then we get to vote on it. What if we don't wanna spend $1 million on down there as a community? Then what? Or $1.5 million? We're gonna have to reschedule. If they're gonna have more discussion during a public meeting, then the only way that I would like to videotape that.
Okay,
But I'm open all day. I know you don't have a lot, so.
okay,
I mean,
I'll
as
stick
soon
around
as-
for this discussion, and then
Yeah.
after that discussion,
Yeah.
we can talk.
Well, I know it hasn't been a real long time, but what are my thoughts on the fairgrounds?
Not really. I hate to speak for the future, but I know at some point we do.
I would think that if we spread it out over a couple of year time frame, and when we're talking, and just hypothetically, when we say 2 years, then you'd be basically saying 250 each year to make up the additional 500,000.
I was thinking an additional $1 million. I was thinking an additional $1 million over and above the ARPA money.
Oh, I thought you were talking $1 million total.
No,
Oh, I see. I misunderstood.
yeah. Well, I would just let them know that we don't have a commitment yet. Okay?
Okay.
Since Tori gets back in, anything else? Well, we have made no commitment on additional funds for the fair, so. And if there's nothing else,